Welcome to the Get In podcast, where we explore the human body and life in its fullness. It's all about a conversation, getting into a conversation. I'm your host, Debbie Rosas, and I'm founder of the Nia Technique. Now, it is not just a technique, it's a practice, it's a lifestyle. It's an international body and life movement art, been changing people's lives through movement. Healthy movement, functional movement since 1983. Yes, you heard me right. Over 40 years of barefoot, mind, body, emotion, spirit, fitness. Not your everyday kind of fitness where you push to make things happen, but one where you listen to your body and you develop a relationship with your body. Now, this episode today, it's about the story that we are all writing. It's the story of our body and life. What does it mean to live in a body? What does it mean to notice and craft a personal and a professional life in a body? That's the story. Now, what I mean by professional is this. Whether you think you have a profession or not, I personally believe that we are all in the profession of managing our body and our life. It's an important job. So what does it look like when somebody takes on that role, takes on that job, and someone consciously and intentionally says, I'm going to write my story with both a fist and an open hand. And I'm going to create a body, a life, a family, and a business that's extraordinary and joyful. Well, we're going to get into that story. This episode is about using martial art methods to do just that. Not aggression to build a body and a life and profession, but a sensitivity, skill, mastery, and yes, technique. And yes, it takes a lot of practice. It takes study. It takes focus, intent, and perseverance. Now, for those of you that are in Nia, for those of you that don't know anything about Nia, martial arts is one of the 3 integrated art forms that we integrate into the workout, practice, and lifestyle of Nia. What I love about martial arts is there's some precision, there's form, there's freedom. There's focus, there's intent, and there's also the integration of body, mind, emotion, spirit. We don't practice on the mat to overcome someone else or to protect ourselves from being kicked or hit. We do learn to use the martial art tools and techniques to protect our body and life. Now, we don't shape martial arts to fit into Nia. We shape the body and movement using certain martial art methods, blocks, strikes, kicks of Tae Kwon Do, and it's fun. And it's a great way to release stress. Great way to learn to move from center and find balance. We don't apply a violent approach. We apply a conscious one, noticing, paying attention, learning to be sensitive to needs and balance and timing. We replace cruelty with kindness, and here's a big one, with peace. And if there's one thing that a human body desires and wants, it's peace. It's homeostasis, that internal environment where health and well-being can grow. It can grow a healthy body, and it can grow a healthy brain. All right, now to my guest. We're all writing a story. My guest today, his story, as I said, is one of fist and open hand, power and grace. And it has to do a little bit with martial arts. But let's start out with the paradox that martial arts is a practice, kind of like a sport, but it's not a sport. It may, when you're looking at it, go, wow, that's violent, but it's not violent. It may look like a dance, but it's not a dance. And like all martial arts, and basically I think even dance arts and healing arts, is a common thread, and that is sharing athleticism. So what does athleticism mean? Well, it's intelligent, and it uses the body based on the way the body's designed to be used. It stands as a commitment to the value of protection, the value of protection. And I'd say certainly martial arts and healing arts do that a little more than the dance arts. Value of protection. So as I said, martial art names one of three arts in Nia. We have martial arts, dance arts, healing arts. What do these three arts provide? Movement and energy diversity. Those are two things that the body craves. Movement. You look at any prescription to stay healthy and well, you're going to see movement, exercise. And nowadays they'll tell you even 5 minutes can make a big difference. And energy diversity. How do we know that diversity really is the body's way? Well, just look around today and look at the diverse shapes and sizes. Everybody's unique and different, which means that the way the body moves, the way the energy moves is different. It's unique. So we bring in movement and energy variety to train the body to adapt and respond to all kinds of forces. Cultivating a self-practice. I'm going to get back to being in the business of your body and life. This is the business, to cultivate a life practice where you can sustain movement, where you can blend form and freedom. But having a practice, having something that you follow is how we grow our body and brain, not just relying on what you know, but being willing to be trained, to take in new energy and information on an ongoing basis. This is how we grow. This is how we transform. To develop a respectful relationship with the body and life and business and on the dance floor, you learn that very quickly in martial arts, what respect means for tradition, for ancient wisdom. My guest today, Billy Anderson, this is not my first podcast with him, so check out the other ones. He knows all about using martial art techniques to build his body, his business, the relationship he has with his body, and also with his family. He is trained in martial arts. He's trained martial artist, and his roots in Tae Kwon Do, the Korean art of foot and fist, right? Foot and fist. What do you think about that? Foot below the waist, fist above the waist. It's a good balance. These roots have been shaping his relationship with power, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, discipline, to do, to practice, and a sense of confident presence. When you look at him, you go, that's health and well-being. He's been doing it since he was young. He's a master certified personal trainer. So when you're in his presence one-on-one, you feel that he's there with you. A nutrition coach, a somatic coach trained from the Strozzi Institute. And, catch this, a Nia Instructor, the owner of a fitness studio, where he brings all of this, like Nia, lots and lots of different knowledge and skills. He brings it together in service of people, of their body and their lives. Now, I love how his certifications span what they consider to be corrective exercise. So the fact that he can bring in mixed martial arts conditioning, senior fitness, behavioral change, active isolated stretching, this means that he can look at who's in front of him and think about specificity. What does this person need? And drawing upon all of his knowledge and skill, he can meet a need. And I think this is one of the most important skills. Can you understand the need? Can you articulate it? Can you say, I can help you deal with that? He, in the truest sense of the word, is a full spectrum movement art educator. Now, a few years ago, he did something that I was like, what? It really moved me deeply. He brought the Nia white belt to his studio, and he had Nia trainer Kelly Ray Owen, who's fantastic, come and share this beautiful artist sensation work with his community. He didn't just graduate, though. He brought the practice home. Now, what makes him so human to me is that he's also a husband, he's also a father, and that he really gets what it means to be of service in those roles of having a personal life and a professional life. And he doesn't have two different philosophies for that. He has one philosophy, again, being of service. More about his story. Okay, he's not one thing. Nobody is. But sometimes we look at somebody and there's this label of, oh, they're that, but he's not one thing. Yes, he's a martial artist that teaches people to move with intention. He is a fitness owner. He is a somatic coach, yes. But more than that, his story, what he's lived, has helped him understand the way a person inhabits their body and the way they inhabit their life. Now, he and I have had the most extraordinary conversations late at night, chatting with each other about business and about life. I share what I know, and he freely shares what he knows. That means we help each other. Now, as that husband and father and friend, owner of fitness studio, somebody that is deeply important in his community, at 2023, he took a step, and that was bringing that white belt. And that act, well, that created the relationship that I now have with him and that he has with Nia. And I love how he shares that he has two great lifelong passions. And I got to tell you, I do too. I think that's why our conversations are so rich. Movement and entrepreneurship. I like to think we're all in the business of body and life. We're all entrepreneurs. What would happen if we approached our body and life like an entrepreneur? Now, I've asked Billy to talk a little bit about Tae Kwon Do, but to also just talk about anything in relationship to martial arts. He started in grade school. Right? How many of us have had a window into something that later in life would come up again? It would be important in our life. It started out in grade school. He took a beginner class in summer. He studied for a brief time. And then art, just like me, art captured his imagination. But his attention was caught by three things, as he said: discipline and the power of the movements. And boy, I relate to that. I remember being on the mat the first time and sensing the power of a stance. And then the specificity of the movement, the form, a softer form, a harder form, Aikido, Tai Chi, Taekwondo, all different and all specific. Movement, art, detail. And that the body could be trained through a progressive system of movements. And this is what martial arts teaches you. You can train your body. Here's the key. Progressive system of movements, which is what Nia is. We have a whole language. From that awareness, he began creating his own systems of training for his childhood friends at local parks. I love that. He created obstacle courses, training drills, and measuring his own and their progress of improvement. Now, he credits his exposure to Tae Kwon Do with awakening what he calls these embryonic talents, abilities that later manifested in sports, wrestling. I love this, pole vaulting, right? Swimming, diving, gymnastics, Western archery, Aikido. I could go on and on. And when you think about movement art diversity, and you think about the fact that the body loves the diversity, and you think about nutrition, we're talking movement nutrition here beyond anything that I've ever experienced. Keto, American boxing, I'm going to probably not say this right, Muay Thai, triathlon, sea kayaking, and ultimately a lifelong career as a personal trainer and enthusiast in the fitness industry. This is where we meet because I love fitness. I love the fact that I came from the fitness industry. Now, in the past, he said that his interest has reawakened a little bit, and he keeps bringing in the word dance. He's currently, and I love this, here we go, a little more nutrition, studying ballroom dancing with the intentions that maybe other classic dance forms will come in the future. I can see it now. So we're going to shape our conversation, as I said, around Tae Kwon Do. But I want this conversation to flower because we're talking about personal and professional life. So, Billy, welcome, welcome. Oh my God, we are going to have such a fun conversation, and I want you to feel free to bring in absolutely anything. I want to start by asking you, what's it feel like to hear somebody talk about you like that?
Well, as I hear your words, it's just, it feels wonderful. It feels like a beautiful affirmation from the outside of many of the things that I've experienced that I don't think about on a daily basis. They're just in my cells and in my body. And so it just feels just enlivening, and I'm grateful for the affirmation.
Yay. It's so great to have somebody shine a light on us and for us to sit back and go, wow, right? To respect the time, the energy, and the life force energy that you have put in that shines through who you are. So soak it all up. Now, movement and entrepreneurship, those two passions of yours. I think people get a real good idea about your history with movement, but I don't think they know anything about your relationship with entrepreneurship. Can you give us a little back end story about that and where did it start? Because it's the perfect place to create a body and life, a healthy and well one.
Yeah, that's a great question. When I think of my entrepreneurial journey, and I think of um, my my unique talent with it, I would say is it starts with, for me, inspired ideation. Um, I have always, since I was a young boy, I have always had a powerful imagination, such that when I see an opportunity or I see a problem, that a full color movie of the solution appears in my mind's eye so crystal clear. It's as though you and I are as clear as this screen is on the laptop. So much so, I'm just uh, I'm I'm compelled to start writing a plan to manifest it. Um, and so that has been since I was born. Of course, I didn't have as great a planning skills as I do now when I was 8, but I would create these rudimentary. I'd see the possibility for the obstacle course or the training drill or whatever my friends wanted to learn, and I would go about putting together the steps, and then explaining it to them, and then putting the training plan together. And so those were some of my first beginning entrepreneurial pursuits, was just, as you mentioned, training, but seeing something as a possibility, as an idea, and then feeling almost sometimes compelled to turn it into reality.
Wow, I love that. That's that fits with what I think about intuition and having access to the third dimension, this reality here, but also another reality where there are no barriers, right? The freedom to think, the freedom to dream. And have you found that martial arts as a practice has influenced your entrepreneurship? Do you, in other words, with the same desire to master using a lot of martial art tools, do you approach, for example, ideation in the same way? Do you practice imaging? Right?
Yeah, that's a great question. The martial arts, think of, for me, ideation and entrepreneurship. I always think of entrepreneurship is the aggregate of several arts. So it's the art of leadership, it's the art of craftsmanship, it's the contractual art on the legal side, it's the art of communication with marketing and sales, and it's the art of finance. So when I think of entrepreneur, I think of all those arts that an entrepreneur needs to have. And in the martial arts builds the capacity for being able to be in one's body, when I can be in my body, and it has trained me to have greater access to intuition. So when I'm making a decision, I'm not just making a decision on an Excel spreadsheet or the latest research. I'm taking all that in cognitively, but I'm also asking, is my body coming alive? And is a yes to this, or is it turning off and saying no to this? And my body's yes or no is instrumental in the decisions and how I navigate as an entrepreneur. And the martial arts, even more than sport, has given me the awareness to move with intention.
Yeah.
And to legitimize that body, the body communicating about decisions and navigation in a way that sport never really brought that to the forefront.
Yeah, that's really, really is interesting. It's almost like sport is so physically focused that those other dimensions in relationship to our energy anatomy, our energy body, right, are not considered.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because there's a big difference between protecting your body and life versus winning the race, right? It's a little different, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When you talk about aggregate and you talk about leadership, in terms of Tae Kwon Do, because I know they're all different. For me, Aikido, seeing someone else's perspective in terms of leadership. Tai Chi, softening, not hardening, slowing down, right? Aikido, not being afraid to move in, right? Being direct. What are some skills that you draw on in your business and your life around leadership that you feel, okay, I'm got my energy personality at Taekwondo coming out here?
Well, that's an easy one. These days, I mean, when I was first introduced to Taekwondo in grade school, and all the things you mentioned that caught my attention in my 8-year-old or 7-year-old mind and body. But from a leadership perspective, the most important quality entrepreneur can have is the ability to conate. Is when their body, all their past experiences are saying yes, their emotions are saying yes, and their intellect is saying yes, is to move with speed and decisiveness towards that. When I first heard the word, it was proposed to me in an entrepreneurial workshop as the most important word business word you've never heard.
I'd never
Conation.
heard of it. Never.
Yeah.
Conation, conative. It's like, what?
Yeah, it was so obscure that that caught my attention. Its obscurity. What was helpful for me is that when I heard the word and I unpacked the definition, I was like, I know that word. I've been doing that word. I just didn't have language for what I've been doing my entire life. And what I would say I saw in that first Tae Kwon Do dojo, when I saw that participant or instructor set themselves and then do all these movements and break that board, it was the
Right.
quality of conation, intent, purposeful movement, and in intentional movement in a specific direction. And yeah, so I would say that is what I experienced and part of what may have energized my body. And later on in my entrepreneurial studies, I finally had a word that I could organize with and navigate with business projects. I mean, I have it right here in my office. I have the conative recipe, so it's dead center. So I never forget it.
So what's the conative recipe?
The conative recipe is make a decision,
Okay.
write up a basic plan, nothing detailed, get some outside eyes by somebody who's experienced to make sure you're not crazy and you're moving in the right direction.
I love that.
Set a date and time that it's going to be executed by. The more specific, the better. I like to set mine with the exact date, time, and the time zone. So the time starts ticking in my head. Go public. I mean, socially commit yourself, and then move as fast as you possibly can. Fast as you can. I've even it was even proposed, which caught me off guard at first, that when we move with conation, it's almost it's like violent movement, not violent in hurting somebody, but violent like a rocket that's shaking as it's breaking the gravitational
Sound
pull.
barrier. Yeah.
Sound barrier, yeah. It's shaking. The integrity is starting to loosen up a little bit until it breaks free.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of what it's like when you're doing archery and you're feeling that tension, right? And you're looking right at that target and you're waiting for that time, right? When you feel that conation is there, everything is lined up. I think I got it. I think this, and then, right? And then, right? All that energy, as you said, moves in the direction, right? That the specific intent, I intend this on this day at this time, and punt, I love that. I love the concept of generating the energy necessary to manifest something that you desire through those steps. I love that conation. That's cool. When you think about, again, I'm going to go back to aggregate, and you think about beyond leadership and you go to craft. Certainly conation is a craft, right? It's a practice. It has movements, right? And it's a whole, it's a holistic, model that's not just physical, but it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, all of it. I can feel all of it in there. Are there specific craft techniques, ways that you go about living your life? I'm going to get personal here now, as a husband or a father, that bring in Tae Kwon Do elements, and why does it work or why does it not work?
So kind of on the craftsperson side, how do I bring that into my family? I would say, as we as a family, as a father, a husband, there's inevitably moments of inspiration of things we could do together, doing things together, being together. I think of family as just like the team, the team, the family, that there's being together and there's doing together. And I use that Tae Kwon Do conative power. And if I can dream something up that we can do together, I'll follow that. Like I'll see like, oh, we could have this experience together. Or we could go on this trip together. And I'll use some of those same conative powers in planning a trip to the West Coast a few years ago. Or inevitably, as any team or family has friction points, challenges that come up, those are opportunities for growth and learning. And so very similar to, my business life, listening to the conflict or the challenge and feeling into it, and then allowing the energy of the conflict to start to grow the solution, whatever that solution is, whether it's a health problem or whatever the case may be.
I love that, listening and feeling into it versus resisting the feeling, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
knowing that within the conflict, there's a solution, right? The meeting, I guess it's the meeting what is, with
Yeah.
full intent that you're going to find a solution, right? The believability that you're going to find a solution. I think all of us can recognize moments in our relationship with a partner, a spouse, a child, where we have gotten thrown, knocked down, kicked, punched. But then it's like, how do you get back up? How do you get back up? Again, back to the aggregate, the legal, the contractual agreement. Marriage, for instance, has contractual agreements. Everybody may have different agreements, but there's an agreement between a parent and a child, between you and your students, or you and your teachers. What is it about a contractual agreement, the legality of that you go, well, that's very Tae Kwon Do, and that's really good?
Yeah, I guess what I'm, like I have, as probably you have too, I've read through as far as business contracts, so many business contracts. I strangely even enjoy it. Never thought I would say that 10 years ago. But it's like anything to me. I mean, whether it's you're starting with a new client, or you're entering into a new lease agreement, everything's a partnership. And, we're always looking for, well, if it's a personal training client that's coming in, I say very explicitly, this isn't, a situation where I'm telling you what to do. It is, this is training is a partnership. You bring the best of everything you've learned and your inner wisdom, and I bring everything together, and we are coming together to form this partnership to accomplish this goal that you've set out. And it's no different, even in a lease agreement. Is coming together. So we trying to find a way where we both win, kind of that win-win or no deal. So I just see every contract as anchor points for a satisfying partnership. And
Nice.
if we can't find that synergistic partnership, it's better to walk away. If it's a maybe, it's a no.
Yeah, that's a great one. I totally believe with that one. If it's a maybe, it's a no.
It's a
Yeah.
no. Yeah.
If it's not a yes, it's a no.
It's a no. If it's not a hell yes,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
can't just be a yes. It should be a hell yes in my world.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's such a sensation in my gut when I go, yes, or when I get a no. And even, the worst decisions I've ever made in my life are when I've ignored even a flutter that's saying, I don't know. And you go, well, then that's a no, right? I don't know. And boy, have I paid for it. I think sometimes I'm still paying for some of that, right? Communication was the next thing, that you had. Gosh, isn't that what everything is about? Particularly to have a healthy relationship with your body, communicating with your body, listening. We call it Nia transmitting and also receiving, being quiet. We say, 2/3 of the time, listen, 1/3 transmit. Spend more time listening, spend more time observing. And then certainly in business, being able to communicate who you are, what you do, how you do it, where they can find you, and why they need you, right? All those
Yes.
important things, right? Why do you need me? You do it really well. You've spent a lot of time in the practice that I see of clarifying what it is that you do and what you enjoy doing, right? And that who am I? What are my gifts and skills is a really important part of communication. Yeah. Um, have there been moments in your communication where you were going down a path thinking, well, I'm going to use the word should, I should be doing this, and you realize should does not fit?
Yeah, I mean, I generally that you highlight the word should. I try to stay. I try to navigate away from should,
Mhm.
and my orientation is I move towards healthy wants.
Yes,
I
yes.
want. I stay away from shoulds and unhealthy needs, and I move towards healthy wants because health. And I encourage that in my clients too,
Right,
is and my team members is moving towards healthy wants, because moving towards healthy wants is moving us all towards higher vibrations of consciousness. It's what we're moving towards, what we're becoming. And that always up levels everybody, versus dropping down to lower levels of in the survival realm of consciousness. That's when we're into the shoulds. And so that's practice, is to stay with healthy wants.
I love that. My experience sometimes with people in saying, "What do you want?" or "What do you desire?" They feel embarrassed to even say what they want, what they desire. They feel that desire has a hedonistic quality, and they don't quite understand the power of being in that solar plexus of I desire, I want, and then in the heart center, I want this, right? And then rooted in the root chakra, I'm grounded in this desire, I'm grounded in this want, right? I can stand in it and stand for it. Those are qualities that I would say I've really learned through martial arts to sense that in my body as an important part of a survival, protection, and manifestation.
I would agree that more than sport. And I mean, um I'm only a year into formal dance study, but even from the instruction I've received, there more the martial art, more than any of the art forms, brings self-awareness and intention to sense the body, listen to the body, um, mind-body connection. Um, yeah, that by by infinite fold compared to some of the other, movement arts, at least in my experience. And so, yeah, that is it's good. That's what's quite remarkable about all of them, is that self-awareness piece.
So we're going to see you on Dancing with the Stars for sure, right?
That's pretty powerful. I mean, talk about, feeling a healthy wants.
Yeah.
The vibration level with dance is maybe some of the highest vibration I've ever felt in my nervous system in my life. So I'm following the health you want.
I'm gonna say I agree with you, and I think the reason is there's a quality of performance in dance where I'm certainly some martial arts, at a competition would say it's performance, but that takes a back seat to protecting yourself, right?
Yeah.
And but that whole thing of creating art, right? Of truly creating art that something's people are gonna watch and they're gonna be inspired by the beauty and the grace and the perfect balance of yin and yang with dance. Absolutely, right? Um, what was the biggest aha that you had in martial arts and then in dance when you about know thyself, right? Movement is a great way to know thyself, particularly when you're either on the mat or on the dance floor. What was like, oh my God, I learned this about myself in Tae Kwon Do and then in dance.
I think with Tae Kwon Do and those childhood experiences, I think what I learned about myself was that I could move with, of course, I didn't have the language for it at the time, but I could move with precision and specificity. Not just when I was a kid, I would play,
Right.
but when I saw that gentleman, I believe, move and do those forms and break all those boards, like that was when I realized I could train my body to do anything if I had the right system. Like I just realized that it wasn't just in Taekwondo. It immediately opened up to you could put any outcome there, gymnastics, and there's a system to train any kind of movement. And so that was the realization there. And then with dance, I would say it's really it's for me it's been a real study in attunement and entrainment with myself and with another person. Like it's like honing in on interpersonal connection that we're all experiencing, we're dialoguing, but it's so concrete because you can feel them.
It's like push hands. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like push hands. You can feel them. You can feel when you're giving clear direction, when they're confused, when there's a positive vibration. It's tactical, and it's a huge awakening for
So are
me.
you doing this with your wife or are you just doing it on your own?
This first round, I did it solo as a professional study. She was out skiing.
Okay.
But she may join me this summer when I take the next round. But I would come home and demonstrate.
Do you have a favorite martial art and a favorite dance art?
I do. I think my favorite martial art is still Aikido. I love the dance-like quality of it.
Yeah.
And my favorite form that I've had experience with is a ballroom and modern dance.
No way. Oh, actually, you know what? I could see that about you. Yeah. The shapes in space, in modern days, the drama, the emotional connection, the line. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the healthy wants. Are ballroom and modern seems to be beckoning.
And the athleticism that is required for dance. I mean, I think anybody that's watched, so you think you can dance or, any of the dance programs goes, whoa, that's athletic, right? And I love that you bring in the concept of attunement and entrainment, absolutely. It's one thing to do a solo dance. It's a whole other thing to do a dance with. And, that's why I love using the phrase dancing through life, because we don't dance alone through life. We are always in attunement and entrainment with what's happening in the moment. Who am I with? What's around me? And how can I bring in that element of athleticism, power, beauty, grace, a dance. I think of dance as absolutely, it's a sport, man, and you got to train for it, right? Um, and so sport and dance are they're separate, but they're so deeply connected. When I think about the sport of body and life, we need to train for it. Yeah. Um, the last one, finance. And, this is an energy, it's a power, it's a necessity, it is a life force, it is a nutrition, right? And yet, my experience is that we are living in a time where, when it comes to finances and it comes to being of service to people's bodies and lives, oftentimes valuing health and fitness are kind of put down on an extra, like, well, it's not really that important. It's an extra, like going and getting a massage, when, like, wow, taking care of your body and life are some of the most important things. And yet we pay high insurance fees monthly that maybe we never, ever use it, in the hopes that nothing bad happens. And yet that person could sit on the couch and not move and smoke and drink and still pay the insurance. Do you know what I mean? How do we shift that mindset? How do you work your magic with finances? And does Tae Kwon Do or Aikido or dance at all influence how you work with finances? And what was your worst decision and what's your best?
Well, I think the one thing about finance, I mean, it's a must for an entrepreneur. I mean, you even if it's not something you enjoy, you're forced into the art of finance. And I think the important thing is to, for me at least, is to see it as an art. That there's many right answers when you look at your financial tools, your income statement, cash flow statement, and your balance sheet. It's just an artist canvas right there. There's many right answers that you can change things around to different scenarios and different programs that you want to put together. And teaching it, framing it as a fun game, gamifying it so it's fun, because it's so easy for finance. I can only speculate, but maybe because of people's childhood experiences, or our societal conditioning, or whatever, it can keep us in those survival energy fields. From shame to pride. We use the map of consciousness. And once if we're working with the art of finance in those survival ranges, then it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be an art. It's going to be something that, I want to get this done so I can get back to doing the other part of business that I really love. What I think of when I think of money, I think of investments. I mean, it's actually one of our core beliefs at Hero Fitness Adventures is we believe in investment, that we believe that people rise and fall to their level of investment, time, money, energy. It's actually called the Pygmalion effect. It's based in mythology that the more invested if we're invested at a time, money, energy at a level of, say, on a scale of 100, at a level of 25, most people will rise to a 25. But if we invest to a level of 75, the Pygmalion effect will lift us up to a 75. So I like to frame money as trying to making strategic investments in myself and my partners, and so that we're invested, that then raise us up to that level of investment. And that's what I've learned over the years in business and management in the fitness industry, is to not avoid investment, but be intentional about how we're putting that in those investments and those relationships together so it lifts us all. The times when it's gone bad is when I'm not seeing it as an investment. I'm just seeing it as a survival cost.
Right.
Yeah. And human beings are always investments. They're always investments, that they're never a cost. This printer here, that's a cost. But, a human being is always an investment. So no matter how much I pour into them, I never see it as a cost, even though traditionally in the art of finance, it would come on the line item as a cost for training or whatever.
Exactly.
But that's my mindset.
It's an overhead.
Yeah, it's an overhead. It's people expenses, but
Yeah.
that's not how I see it. I
Yeah.
don't see it.
That's awesome. One of the things that I loved so much about martial arts that really inspired me to look at the design and function of the human body, what I call the body's way method, or looking at the body's way as a map. Its design has a function, and then realizing, that that a movement, such as a strike, will teach me not to swing and wreck my shoulder, but to really move in a very functional way that protects my shoulder joints, for example. Moving from behind and moving from underneath. And this has been important when I say we don't shape martial arts to fit Nia. We shape the body in movement using the body's design and function and using martial art methods. Having experienced Nia movement, what are we missing?
Well, yeah, I come from a classic strength and conditioning background, barbells, dumbbells. I think what might be missing from the general fitness crowd is external measurement. There's internal, interior somatic measurement, where we're measuring our felt sense and our body in space and our proprioception and interoception. But what is missing for me, well, not even for me, because I love it, and I can through my experiences with measuring heart rate, I have a felt sense of that quantitatively. But for the general public that hasn't had the opportunity to calibrate their intuition to an objective measurement like heart rate, they don't have an external concrete marker to know for their rational mind to say, oh, I'm in the right zone, I'm not in the right zone. And that gives them a sense of reference and a sense of safety, because their interior is kind of a scary place. A lot of people, the interior is a scary place. The exterior is a comfortable space.
Yeah, I love that. You and I we have to have another discussion about Morpheus, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
about measurements. I love being able to take what I sense inside and then have something that helps measure, is my perception, have I developed the skill to perceive a certain level of truth?
Yeah. Yeah.
And which is so important, whether I am dancing or I'm in relationship with my family, right? Or I'm in a healing mode. Truth is so very important to be able to perceive, what is true. Well, I can't thank you enough for this great conversation about body and life and fist and open hand and the integration of body and mind and emotion and spirit, and that word that I guarantee nobody has heard, conation. But now they know that there's a way for us to make a decision, write a basic plan, get other people's eyes on it. Am I crazy, as you said? I love that. And then pick a date and time, and even down to the detail of time zone. Go public and move as fast as you can,
As fast as you possibly
as
can.
fast as you possibly can. And I want to leave everybody with this. What does it mean to invest? Right? In business, you invest. You heard Billy say, people are investment. You're a people. What does it mean to invest in your own body and life, to be in the business of your own body and life? What would happen today if you dropped into ideation and closed your eyes and you saw possibility? And they always say purpose, possibility, and potential. And remember this, a maybe is a no. That's a truth that you can certainly sense in your body. Leadership, craft, legal, right? Contractual legal, communication, finance, all of those things add up to being in the business of body and life. Tae Kwon Do is one energy that helps you know your no and know your yes. Billy, thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you if they want to know a little bit more about you and maybe hire your services? Because whether I'm in your physical presence or online, you can help me.
Well, if people want to know more about our recovery-based model, you can check out our website at heroicfitnessadventures.com. Or if you want to email me directly, it's billy@heroicfitnessadventures.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, I thank you so much about this great conversation. Thanks, everybody, for listening. And if you'd like to find out more about Nia, go to nianow.com. You can find out where you can take classes from certified licensed teachers. You can also go to Nia On Demand, which is where you can get 2 weeks free to get a little bit of taste of this fitness that we've been talking about. And it is absolutely recovery-based. It is perfect for any age, any shape, and fulfills that desire. Check also Facebook and Instagram. Thanks so much for joining me. And this is our time to get into our body, to pay attention, to connect, to stay aware. I'll see you next time.